What I don't like about membership platforms. In this video, we'll talk about my beef with Kajabi. Beef number 1. Kajabi is touted as an all-in-one solution to all your marketing and membership needs, which, for most intents and purposes, is true, but there are still a few things it can't or doesn't do. I can get behind a can't, but the doesn'ts are where I get a little huffity-puffity, you know what I mean? For example, Kajabi has a built-in blog system so you can run one on your Kajabi website. What is the purpose of a blog? Usually it covers 2 basic functions. 1. Sharing information and experience, and 2. Providing a place for people to engage with the ideas presented and discuss it with each other. Not too much to ask for, right? Well, Kajabi fills function 1 well enough. It's intuitive to set up the pages and design and all that. But if you want to add a comments section, you have to set up and pay for, separately, a third-party discussion tool called Discuss. Pretty weak attempt at a blog creator, especially from an all-in-one platform. If you're planning on making use of a blog, either consider using a different platform or be prepared to integrate some other apps to make it work. As an aside to this, Kajabi also can't send certificates of completion for courses natively. It requires the use of Zapier and another program like Canva, Accredible, or Google Slides. It's still something that I'm not a fan of, but I also don't really consider sending certificates to be an essential function, so to me it's not a huge deal. You might have a different opinion, however, so it's good to be aware of, which is why I bring it up. Beef number 2. This one has to do with editing and designing things in Kajabi. Overall, building courses, products, sales funnels, etc. with Kajabi is relatively simple and bug-free, especially compared to other platforms like Kartra, which I'll also be making one of these about, and I'll link it once it's finished. Subscribe if you haven't already and don't want to miss it. That being said, one of the most frustrating parts of building something on Kajabi is that there are multiple locations for editing the settings and design options. Let's say you're putting together a course, and you realize a few modules in that there's a typo in your instructor description. Naturally you would think, oh, I'll just click on that and fix it while I still remember. Well, you're in for a treat if you do, because you'll probably spend a while clicking around looking for a simple change that doesn't seem to exist. What I eventually found out after a good 20 minutes of hapless clicks was that you have to go into the customization of the theme of the course itself, and only after digging a few layers deeper than that will you finally find the elusive description. Of course, by then you've probably forgotten what you wanted to change about it, but at least you found it. This isn't true for every function, and Kajabi's Help Center and tutorials answer almost any question you could think of, but it still can be frustrating. And now my third and final beef, Kajabi's email creator. This one used to be a lot bigger or more firm, whatever makes beef more beefy. Just a few months ago, the most visually complex thing you could add to an email on Kajabi would be a puppy made out of every key on your keyboard, because the only thing you could add was text. Now that they've added a robust visual editor with a bunch of templates and all that, my main issue is that the biggest the text editor gets is the size of my palm. This is a small problem, literally, but if you're adding more than a few lines of text to an email, things get pretty problematic. Having gone through these flaws in the system, I should probably mention that out of all the membership platforms I've tried, Kajabi is the one I dislike the least. Coming from me, that's actually a compliment, considering how picky I am when it comes to membership platforms. Aside from these and the fact that you have to pay your affiliates manually, the biggest complaint people have about it is the price. What people don't seem to realize is that A, if you were to pay for all the services Kajabi provides separately, you'd be spending quite a bit more. Not to mention the extra hassle of getting those services to work together. And B, the reason Kajabi is so good at improving their system, take the email visual update for example, is because of that very price point. It gives them the flexibility to focus on making the product worth the price by constantly improving it. I made this video for 2 reasons. The first being to vent about Kajabi's flaws, and the other being that I haven't actually been able to find any results when searching for Kajabi's problems. There are a few videos whose premise seems to be what's wrong with Kajabi, but somehow they're all either just rants that don't actually tell you any legitimate issue, or tell you nothing at all except how much they love Kajabi. I wanted to strike a balance between the two. Kajabi, like all other platforms, does have its issues. That's why it's important to bring them up so that potential users know in advance. These particular issues aren't deal breakers for me, but I know they could be for others. I always look for authentic reviews before I decide on a product, so having used Kajabi thoroughly, I wanted to provide the same for you. What problems have you run into when working with membership platforms? Let me know in the comments and I'll add them to the next part of this series. If none of these issues are deal breakers for you, then I highly recommend using Kajabi, as it's the most hassle-free platform I've found to date. I'll leave a link in the comments that will give you a 28-day free trial instead of the standard 14 days if you're interested in trying it out. Also, I'm putting together a super detailed infographic comparing all of the current top course platforms, so subscribe if you're interested in that, and I'll let you know as soon as it's ready. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Plus, their courses and support community will actually help you learn how to